Hey, Nation, we are back. It's already February of 25. Where did January go? And it's only going to speed up. With Chris Weiser, lives in the Austin area, such as myself, and we occasionally have the chance to catch up. And Chris, well, first of all, welcome. How's 25 going for you and your community?
Man, hey buddy. Yeah, it's pretty good. It's crazy. I think January was the longest month of my life, but it's been good. Everything's growing, and we're doing well.
Good, good. Yeah, and I'll put the URL down in the comments so people can hop over and get to know you. But what I want to talk about is you had a 3 day in October in San Antonio, which was
hmm
great. That's just about an hour drive for me. And so I was able to easily pop down. And you had a keynote speaker, I believe, is day two, Dan Martell, Buy Back Your Time. And we're going to talk about that book. Really impactful. How did Dan get to San Antonio? What's the story on that?
I it's kind of funny. I was talking to a friend of mine. His name's Garrett Gunderson. Garrett's was one of our speakers, and I kind of told him that I wanted Dan, and he happened to know him, so he did a personal, basically text message intro. I asked Dan like just over text message if he'd be interested. We just made sure it worked, and it just all worked out. And it's kind of funny because that's I'll just give you another example. We have our Q2 2025 event coming up here in April, and I was walking through the airport and saw a book, and the title of our Q2 event is MSP AI Revolution. So it's all AI focused and all this other stuff. I'm walking through the airport coming back from San Diego, our Q1 event, saw a book about AI and adding it to sales. And I'm like, oh, this looks like a good book. And literally went on the author's website, found his stuff, sent an email. He's going to be on our stage in Q2. So it's just sometimes it just takes that.
Yeah, the good old airport bookstore.
Yep.
That is exactly what it takes. Every author wants to be at the airport bookstore, right? Because they still have traffic, right? The
Yep.
Barnes and Noble thing is, well, we can talk about that, but any event. So yeah, let me tell you my take on what Dan Martell said and how it impacted me. So there were maybe a couple things. One was stop wasting your time. And I recall starting SMB Nation where I was kind of in that trap, where I was the guy running the Kinkos to make photocopies. Not a great use of my time. That all changed when I hired Jenny. She stayed 16 years and certainly a little bit higher than what we normally call an admin. She was really more of a COO type, strategic. But she did all that. And including the events. There were times I just felt like, well, I just have to show up at the event after some initial planning. So I kind of got that right. Stop wasting your time. Number two was why are you doing things that don't make money? And I've been pretty transparent. My product went away. Can you believe it? 2014.
Man, it's crazy that it's that long ago already.
10 years. And we tried this, we tried that, and the lights are still on at SMB Nation, but I think it was both me and the duration that. And Chris, I try to do three or four things, right? I'm kind of I like little side hustles, do some of this and do some of
Yeah.
that. So
Yeah.
again, I always want to say, SMB Nation's here today and here tomorrow. It's changed, as we all have. So, I was looking at kind of the last couple of years' performance, and for me, my community is relatively mature. And, I think a few of us were just seeing that, maybe we need to kind of go back to content and digital and the events. Chris, there's a hell of a lot of events out there. You're one of them, and you've dialed it in. And then the other thing is my audience, they they could go to an event a week, right? Every single week they could go to an event, and then you're not running your business. And I've seen that trap too.
hmm
So right after your work conference in San Antonio, it's just one fine afternoon. I'm just kind of literally looking in the mirror that the 20 gave away a mirror is Chotsky. And I still have it. And folks, that'll be part of the photo that you're seeing up on the screen, the book cover and so on. But finally, Chris, so bottom line is I started in oil growing up in Alaska. So I made a buddy call to a guy that stayed in oil. And his name's Curtis. And I said, Curtis, I think I need to do something new for a while. I'm just doggone it, 27 years in the Microsoft ecosystem. I just need to do something new. So I joined his oil field services company. And it's nearly a full-time commitment, but we plug orphan and abandoned wells. So we're on the right side of the equation, right? We're going out.
So wait, are you telling me that that show Landman is about you?
Yeah,
I think that's the deal. It is about Harry.
I'm gonna change my byline in LinkedIn. Someone told me the other day is get rid of risk forward, right? Risk forward's a VC term. He said change your middle name to Landman. I said
the Landman. Yep, you're now the new Landman.
Yeah,
you and Billy Bob.
Yeah, and it's kind of hilarious. And that's a whole nother blog about full circle. Started in oil, worked my way through college, went on to tech in Seattle, and then now I'm back in oil. So that's what it did for me. And I'm okay with it. And Chris, when I talk to people in the industry, I was a little worried, influencers and thought leaders would feel like I'm abandoning the sector, forgive me. And that's not the case. I'd prefer to say I'm expanding my horizons. And so now over to you. If you want to grab what I'm throwing, or you want to, what did the book do for you? And like I said, there's a lot in that book, man.
Well, yeah, there really is. And one of the reasons I wanted to have Dan is I had read that book early on, and the book came out, I believe, I'm trying to think when it was. It was sometime in 2023, I believe, that it came out. And I have always, personally, I struggled with procrastination my whole life. I struggled with procrastination. So it's like, for me, it was like, I have to find ways to do things more efficiently. And I have to, and I'll give you a great example of this. And this is some of the stuff that the book does all the time for me. It's not necessarily, and side note on this, it's more the concepts of the book versus following it verbatim. And that's kind of what Chris Weiser does in his life. So here's what I do in my daily life. I struggle with procrastination. I struggle with burnout. So, and not necessarily saying I have burnout, but I've been able to eliminate it by doing certain things, because early stages, one of the reasons I sold my MSP is because I was burning out. Yeah, so now what I do every single day, I think a lot of MSP owners can totally relate to that, right? So now what I do every single day is I do kind of the day of threes. I do 3 hours at home, I do 3 hours at the office, and then I do 3 hours at working at a restaurant or maybe a bar or so, sports bar or something like that. But and usually the first 6 hours of the day I work on stuff. And I kind of segment my day into different things. So I'm keeping my brain fresh all the time. Like, for example, right now I was at home office this morning, and now I'm at work office doing the podcast recording with you. And then I'll be here for about another hour, probably. I'm kind of moving into my day of threes thing, maybe another hour or 2 hours here today. And then I'm going to I think I'm going to go to the country club, South Austin. I'm a member at Onion Creek if you want to come golf ever, Harry. But I think I'm going to go over there and just hang out and have lunch, late lunch, and do work. So that's one thing. But then the other thing that Buy Back Your Time has really enabled me to do was be okay with offloading a lot of things versus thinking I have to be the one that controls all of it. And I think that's the other big factor that many MSP owners, with the personality type that we are as entrepreneurs and tech people, we want to control so many variables and we want to run all this stuff. So that's two things that the book has really taught me. And I would implore anybody that's listening. Audiobook is, to me, the audiobook's actually better than the physical book. I'm not sure if I read the physical book and then I came back and did
I got it free. I got it signed and free at your event.
Yeah. So the physical book is really good and I like it, but then they've added a bunch of stuff on the audiobook where Dan's coming in and giving extra commentary other than just the book. So I'd highly recommend the audiobook now to go back as well for you, Harry, and then anyone else doing that. Read the physical book first if you can. Some people struggle with the reading, but then go back and do the audiobook afterwards. And I think it's something that's really going to help. And Harry, I didn't even tell you this. I got a new book coming out too, so I'm excited about that. We can talk about that at the end here. Yeah.
We'll have you back. Well, and let's talk about that in a moment as we, maybe kind of turn the corner on respecting our viewers' time. But the other thing was, I don't think I mentioned it. Did I? The chapter on the replacement ladder. I used to call it firing yourself, right? And that's kind of what I did. I fired myself at SMB Nation, and life got significantly better, right? I was able to go bike ride in the afternoon. And the replacement ladder, the first rung is an admin. And again, I'm not going to call Jenny an admin. She's really more strategic, but that you get the point. And he's kind of saying the same thing. I mean, if you're going to scale, right? If you just want to, be a lifestyle consultant and, run to Home Depot or whatever, buy stuff, fine. But yeah, back to you. Let's talk about your book and we'll call it good.
Yeah. So, last thing on that before we go into my book thing. Okay. I think making a decision of how you want to run your business is really key. And like you said, if you want to be a lifestyle business owner, hey, who cares? Then do whatever you want to freaking do, right? It doesn't matter. But if you really want to have a true employee business, and I almost think once you get into having employees, you kind of can't do the lifestyle thing as much. I don't know what your thoughts on that are, but the second you have 2, 3, 4 employees with a help desk and all this other stuff going on, it gets pretty hard to do that because you got to manage, and buying back your time is really ultimately what we goal to. So I think that's a really important concept, and that's why I'm a big fan of the book. But my book's coming out end of Q1 here in 2025, and it's called No Bullshit: Execute Your Way to a Business You Don't Want to Quit. So really excited about that. It's all about, and it's more mainstream than it's going to be just for MSPs, but it'll apply to every single MSP business owner that's out there as well.
Yeah, no, I applaud that. I did that with one of the last books I wrote myself, because then I went on to write a couple. I ghost wrote some books for executives, and you put their name on it, but I really did the typing, but they gave me money, so it's okay. But that's what I did during the pandemic. I took an old book on how to be an SBS consultant, stripped out all the dated stuff of 03, and changed it to the Pocket MBA, so it's much more generic. And it was for our audience. I have this talk a lot with MSPs that, man, don't go to an Ivy League MBA program. $200,000 in debt. It's going to take upwards of a couple years. Unless you're going to Wall Street or the big 6 firms. You're far better off to do what you do best, right? So,
yep. I agree with that.
I applaud your writing more general. It took me a long time to get there, and Chris, I know I asked you. Do you have a timeline on the book? Mid-year? Do you have a?
No, that'll be out. It should be out mid-March.
Oh wow,
2025. Yeah, so it's so it's rolling. I mean, the cool thing about today's world is you can build, produce, execute, and deliver content faster than you've ever been able to do. I wrote, just to give you an idea, this past Sunday, it was a nice day in Austin. I went out, kind of went to a brunch spot, did some stuff, and literally spent 8 hours, and I pumped out 25 lead magnets from my company and literally 5 hours of messing around, so it's unbelievable how fast you can churn out content. So end of Q1 2025.
Yeah, I concur, and I really look forward to talking to you about that and your methodology, because I'm not a huge generative AI guy. I'm old school, dude. I type. I got to find my voice and type, and quite frankly, I enjoy writing. Now that's not to say I won't use the tools. Good Lord, there's a bunch of them out there. But for now, when you read my blog, I wrote it, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and that's why you're going to see typos. And trust me, I take some heat, but I'm a writer. I'm not an editor.
Well, and the
So,
other thing to think about in today's time, we have the ability, one of the ways that I can churn out content so fast is I'm definitely utilizing AI.
okay.
And I'm utilizing AI not to do all the work for me, but to do all the heavy lifting for me. And if you think about just writing, it's not the creative process that's hard about writing. It's I got to take all my creative parts and put it on paper and expand those ideas, right? So that's the big challenge with doing that. And what AI really enables you to do is, and I will tell when we sit down and you and I aren't too far from each other now, so we'll have to grab a coffee or a beer or something.
Yeah, let's do coffee. What have you?
But now it's this deal where you can use AI to build out a system, and then and basically what I do is I dictate all my ideas into my voice memos on my iPhone, and then I take the transcription from that and I dump it into AI, and we expand on it and build it, and AI becomes my ghostwriter. And then I go back to a real paid editor. In fact, my book right now is at a real paid editor, getting built out and basically properly formatted from Chris brain dump land, which is dangerous world. But it's so I started writing the book. I'll tell you this: I started writing the book December 30th. I finished the book January 23rd.
Yeah, Jesus, dude.
So literally in less than 30 days, I'm able to pump out a 300-page book.
Oh man! All right, okay, I'll
Yeah.
buy the coffee. All right, coffee on me. But no, we will have you back. That's exciting, and you're a man after my own heart. Hey, Chris, stay on the line for a second. I'm going to let these fine people get back to work. Folks, you know how to reach me. Appreciate you listening. Buy the book.